Hey guys, remember to like the video and hit subscribe. So I guess if you don't care about the legality or the process and procedure or anything having to do with the structure of government, I guess it's a cool thing. But if you care about like following the law or the rules or maintaining your government, then it would probably be a horrific thing. But
Andrew?
Yeah, you got this idea. I've heard Destiny kind of talk about this before. When he's saying, okay, these are illegal actions, and possibly the court's not going to be able to catch up with these illegal actions. And so Trump is just going to basically continue with what he's considering to be illegal actions. Thing is like people forget about things like jury nullification or like the idea that you can have laws. And even if you're the enforcer of the laws, in this case, the executive branch, you don't actually have to enforce these things. There's no like you're put there for a reason, just like a jury can nullify a law by saying, even though the law says you're guilty, I can still come back with a not guilty verdict. What's happening here is we don't even know what the waste, fraud, and abuse is. And so there's an audit going on, and this is exactly what Musk is doing. They're trying to audit this and get it in front of the attention of the American people to say, look, we don't want condoms for the Taliban. That was 15 million. Promotion of atheism in Nepal for 500,000. French LGBTQ programs in West and Central Africa for $1 million, right? I mean, the list goes on and on and on. $200 million 20 days in. I think that the American people do deserve to know that. And I don't think that they would, that this would be front and center or a thing we would be focusing on absent this audit. And I think that more of these government agencies should be audited. Now, Destiny can get, he can say, well, technically, due to the rule of law, we have judges who are making these impositions and this and that. It's like, yeah, that's fine, but that's all part of the process too. It's all part of the process of law. The process of law is playing out exactly like it should. Judges are supposed to create injunctions if something illegal is going on, et cetera, et cetera. There's nothing wrong, though, with auditing these places. And for the spirit of transparency, I think that leftists are just pissed for no good reason. Like they go, oh, Musk is collecting all these people's information. It's like unelected officials at the DMV are collecting my information. The unelected officials at the Social Security office are collecting my information. Like so many government offices collect my information by people who I definitely didn't elect, and neither did Destiny. They're totally fine with that. But for some reason with these guys, no, that's too much.
That's a good point.
I mean, the reason
that's a good point.
The reason why is because these things have been authorized by law. There's a process and procedure there. The Social Security Administration was created by Congress. There's a process and procedure by which they collect data, and they have a process and procedure by which they store data and who's allowed to access it. Elon Musk is definitionally an unelected bureaucrat who is now part of a shadow government who is going from agency to agency, cutting whatever he decides is necessary. In terms of there being transparency, all of this stuff was already publicly available. They've literally shuttered the USAID offices. What do you mean? They've literally shuttered them payments from the Treasury.
Yeah,
shuttered them and they tried to get a mass recall saying all the employees needed to come home, which was stopped by a TRO, by a judge. And now a lot of these programs, there was just recently a report by the head of the Treasury guy who now is fired, who was saying that there's a whole bunch of food and stuff that we ship to other countries. It's just going to spoil because now we've cut off funding and money for it. All of these things have just been unilaterally cut by Elon Musk and Trump without any authorization from Congress, despite the fact that Congress was the one that authorized the funds for these programs and authorized these offices and agencies. If you want to remove all of these things, that's fine. If you don't want $500,000 being spent for trans ballets in Nepal for atheists or whatever, that's fine. If you don't want it, then Congress has to defund it. That's the way that this process works. It's not up to the president unilaterally to decide what he likes or doesn't like. That's already been
actually, hang on.
by Congress.
Well, hang on.
It's not up to you.
That's actually, I was going to say, look, that's not actually correct. He's entitled to do this, and then there can be
absolutely
legal.
not.
Well, hang on. Then there can be legal challenges, and Trump made it clear in the Oval Office yesterday he would accept what a judge said. Now, by contrast, I remember Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez when it came to the Texas ruling in a court by a judge about abortion medication, for example. She said that the Democrats should not accept what that judge had ruled. Right. So why is it one rule? Why is it one rule for Democrats that they can ignore a judge's order with impunity? But when President Trump says, if you want to challenge this, no problem, I would accept the ruling of the judge. Isn't that democracy?
What years was AOC the president of the United States?
What difference does that make?
What does that have to do with anything?
Because she's not in the position to do these things. She can give the advice on it. If you wanted me to ask myself, like,
she's an elected lawmaker who doesn't want to obey the law.
A lawmaker. She's in a different branch of government. She's part of the legislature. We're not talking about the legislature. We're not talking about a random lawmaker right now. We're talking about the president of the United States doing things to intentionally contravene. You can't just say you could break the law.
President Biden did the same over student loans.
No, he absolutely didn't. When the Supreme Court shut him down in one thing, then he took a different avenue. It was not the same. President Biden did not ignore temporary restraining orders. It wasn't issuing TROs to stop what he was doing with the loan forgiveness. It's a totally different thing.
Yeah,
to say
this
is not the same. It's not the same process.
Hang on, Destiny. I just let you go.
Vance and other people have said over and over. I'm still responding to Pierce. Vance and others have made it clear over and over again. They've quoted the Andrew Jackson quote, and they've said, well, we should just resist the judiciary. It is not part of law and order. It's not part of checks and balances for the executive to say, well, I don't care what a judge says. We'll just do whatever, which is what they're currently doing. And a judge has already said they've done with the TRO that was placed on them, having to do with freezing federal funding. So they've already broken with what the judges are telling them to some extent. And at the end of the day, there's no way to check and balance the executive if they're just going to do what they want to do. You have no checks and balances there. What are men in robes and lawmakers going to walk down and fight with the U.S. Marshals and the FBI? Like, it's not going to happen.
Andrew?
Yeah, right. Exactly. So there's an issue. What you have is an issue of authority. So Trump he's trying to expand the limits of his office as fast as possible, and I understand why. Last time he was there, they were trying to impeach him from basically day one, made up this phony Russian collusion nonsense. He comes in now, he has nothing to lose. He's going to expand his office as quickly as possible, try to move things as quickly as he possibly can, and most importantly, he doesn't trust the judicial branch. That's what he said himself in his various speeches. I don't trust them to give fair rulings. I don't trust that they're actually there in respect to actual law. He doesn't actually even believe that. So what he's doing is expanding as quickly. Hang on, my turn. So he's expanding it as quickly as he possibly can. But he did say that he would abide by the rulings of these judges. He just recently said this, and we don't know what's gonna come of that. Right now, he's expanding this office to try to figure out these audits, this type of thing. I don't see what he's actually done wrong. You're already panicking, but we haven't really had a chance to see what happens if he abides by these rulings, doesn't abide by these rulings.
Right.
We don't really know that yet.
Right.
Well, Doge in and of itself is probably a wholly illegal agency. I don't think that Doge even exists. I don't think they have the legal capacity to even do what Trump wants them to do. Number one. Number two. Bringing up the Russia collusion stuff is funny when the entire foundation for Hunter Biden and Burisma was entirely fabricated. That person's already been convicted by the FBI for lying about the origination for that. And three, Donald Trump was already found to have people who were working with him collude with Russia. Roger Stone did it, but he was pardoned by Donald Trump. The same way Donald Trump pardoned all 1,600 J6 offenders.
The same way that Biden Biden does the whole crime family, right? Pardons the whole crime family. That's fine.
Oh, yeah. How many crimes have they committed? Republicans had like 8 years to investigate them and found nothing. How do you know you had 8 years to investigate it? What do you mean? How many special counsels? How did we have 8 years to investigate it? They had nothing. How did we have 8 years to investigate him from as soon as Biden was in office? They've been investigating this guy, Hunter Biden, over and over again, and they found nothing. That's why the charges we got at the end of the day were for tax fraud. Well, for Joe Biden, they found nothing ever.
Destiny, this
isn't going to make it points any better. I just want to make sure that we can get back to the actual point.
Destiny, if none of them have committed crimes, why do they all need preemptive pardons?
Yeah, they all need pardons.
Because Trump has shown over and over again that he doesn't need crimes to start chasing down people, and the Republicans have no problem hunting people down to try to go on fishing.
And the Democrats haven't been doing that for the last year.
Give me one example.
Stormy bloody Daniels. Honestly.
Did he break a law? Did he break a law?
What
also, that wasn't the federal government. That was the state.
Are you honestly happy?
That's fine.
The only time an American... Hang on. The only time an American president...
No, I don't care.
The only time an American president was ever dragged through a criminal court was over a one-night stand with a porn star 20 years ago. Utterly preposterous.
It wasn't over a one-night stand. It was over misappropriating campaign funds and then creating a paper trail. If you don't like the law, that's fine.
You've had presidents like Obama waging illegal drone programs, killing thousands of innocent people. Why is he not in a criminal court?
Illegal as per who? Illegal as per who? Which crimes? What are we talking about?
You don't think illegal drone programs are criminal?
It sounds illegal as per who?
Oh, you think they're
You just say illegal because it sounds bad. Apparently so.
What about the illegal invasion of Iraq by George Bush?
What are we talking about for illegal invasion?
This drives me crazy. But this is the problem, right? Illegal. Like, and again, to some extent, progressives or Dems in general have themselves to blame. The illegal drone strikes, the illegal wars, the illegal. Well, if everything's illegal, then what Trump is doing must not be that exceptional, because I guess it's all illegal. But it's not. Illegal means something generally. It's against the law, right?
Invasion. Illegal.
I'm talking about crimes.
Which crime? What crime are you talking about?
Crime than sleeping with a porn star.
Campaign, but
I'm making the point. The only time an American president has ever been dragged through a criminal court was not over running illegal drone programs or illegally invading sovereign countries. It was over an alleged one-night stand with a porn star that involved a bit of paper shuffling. It was completely ridiculous.
You have strong feelings about what you think should be a crime or not, but if you don't care about the law, there's no legal argument to be had then. If you just think it's a crime because it's bad, you don't like it, or you think it's a crime or it's not a crime because you don't think it's a big deal, that's fine. But I mean, like, if you want to have the legal argument,
logic for you. As long as bad things are done via the process of law, that's fine. But if you do good things after the process of law, that's bad. It's like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, I know. Here's my chain of logic. I know it's hard to follow. If you are a criminal, it's because you've broken a law. Not all bad things are criminal, okay? Not all bad things are crimes. You can think somebody did a bad thing, but they didn't commit a crime. Donald Trump committed crimes in New York State, probably committed crimes insofar as Georgia is concerned, and he's committed federal crimes insofar as the Mar-a-Lago documents case was and the J6 case was. He won't be held accountable for all of that, thankfully, because he's dismissing everything he can to elude accountability. But those are crimes. If you want to say, I don't like the war in Iraq and that's illegal, illegal as per who? We can talk about the ICJ or the ICC if you want, but that gets obviously way more complicated.
No, that wasn't what my point was. My point was
crimes.
Yeah, it wasn't my point. My point was to say that from your view, you're only concerned about process of law in this case,
yes,
right?
The law, yes,
not
correct,
about hang on. Not about the moral implications of the actual waste, fraud, and abuse that is brought up. Only that the technical process is followed. So it's like, okay, but what if they're not following your technical process, but they're actually finding waste, fraud, and abuse from a moral implication? That's actually a good thing. Now, I don't even agree with you that that they're breaking any laws. I don't even agree that they're breaking any laws. These challenges are brand new. We have no idea how this is going to play out. You don't. I don't. But we have no idea if he's going to adhere to what the court is going to say. No, we don't have a good idea. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's not. We don't know for sure that Trump is going to just go, oh, I'm just going to Jackson the courts. The courts can enforce their own law. Like, that is speculation. That's beyond the pale.
They've already done that. A judge has already issued a ruling saying they've already violated a TRO. So that's already happened to some extent. Now, how far will it go? Who knows? They've already done exactly that. Doge does not have the legal authority to go in and unilaterally.
No, they're giving a legal challenge back, Destiny.
They didn't even respond. Read the TROs. Their response was, "Oh, we're going after fraud," and the judge laughed that he said this isn't even.
That doesn't. Wait. So yes, they are. Not only are they going to respond to this, but they're setting up for legal challenges to go back the other direction.
I like how it's like, this is, I don't know if he did this already when I was gone or if he is about to do this. They'll say, this is the system working as intended. Oh, so you're just supposed to break as many laws as possible and then see when the courts check you? That's the working as intended? I thought we were supposed to like try our best to adhere to the boundaries of the law in general, but okay.
This is obvious. And by the way, this is part of the process. Like, I don't know why you just pretend like these politicians don't expand their offices all the time, and that's what the judicial does, right? It comes in, it'll rein it in, it'll say this is constitutional, it's not constitutional, you can do this, you can't do this. They do it all the time. There's so much precedent for this, in fact. So if he doesn't adhere to what the judges end up saying, to what these courts actually say when he has no more legal standing to fight it, then you have a leg to stand on. Right now, you don't.
He's already done that.
He's acting, acting the best he can in the ability of the office of the President of the United States.
I think you'd have more credibility if you criticized the problems on the left. So one, I already have. And two, why the f would I need to do that? The right criticizes nothing from the right. So you guys clearly don't give a f about that. So why would I? What? That doesn't matter.
We will see.
So the goal, the goal should be to just break as many laws as possible then and then see what happens.
No, Trump's made it clear he'll accept the ruling of the judges. If he doesn't, that's another matter. Look, I want to end
that doesn't even follow anyway. Like,
guys,
that doesn't follow logically.
We're running out of time. I don't want to leave us without getting to the really contentious story of the week, which is paper straws. Let's watch a clip of Donald Trump talking about straws.
So going back to plastic straws, these things don't work. I've had them many times, and on occasion they break, they explode. If something's hot, they don't last very long, like a matter of minutes, sometimes a matter of seconds. It's a ridiculous situation. So we're going back to plastic straws. I think it's okay. And I don't think that plastic's going to affect a shark very much as they're munching their way through the ocean. Okay.
Destiny, can we at least agree that paper straws suck, or rather, you can't suck with a paper straw?
You know what? I'm going to be like a good conservative, and just to spite conservatives, I'm going to buy 1,000 paper straws. I'm going to replace every plastic straw that I see in a straw from now on with the worst, the shittiest paper straws that dissolve the second you put them in your soft drink. That's my goal for the next 2 years. That's my way of protesting.
Andrew, your response to that dramatic statement from Destiny about paper straws?
Well, then I have to at least counter with buying 1,000 plastic straws, right? Just to, but anyway, you know, I drank out of these stupid paper straws last time I was in Santa Barbara going to the whatever podcast, and they do suck.
Oh, what? More resignations? The director of Data Science and Engineering for USDS, which Elon Musk rebranded as the US Doge Service, has resigned from her position. I do not believe that Doge can continue to deliver the work of USDS based on their actions so far. I wonder if any of the USDS, the old USDS people, are even a part of the current Doge actions. Unfortunately, Doge chose to fire 1/3 of them last week. Oh, on the cuts last week. These cuts were short-sighted, ill-informed, and indiscriminate. The government and the American people will be worse off from the loss of these people. This is the consolidation of the two different groups, the new Doge members and the legacy USDS staff. Nice. And then our new Department of National Intelligence head.
Here is something that the political establishment and propaganda media don't want you to know. Ukraine's President Zelensky has just banned yet another political opposition party, one that questioned his legitimacy as president, and used Ukraine's Department of Justice to mandate the seizure of this party's members' assets. Now, this is just the latest of Zelensky's actions.
Name, reason, anything in particular, or we're just okay. That's cool. We're just doing straight Russian propaganda now from the U.S. Department of Intelligence. That's good. Okay.
To do this sort of thing. He began banning major political opposition parties in 2022, when he also started banning TV channels that were associated with his political opponents. And he took over total control of Ukraine's largest television networks, now controlled by their government. Zelensky's presidential term ended on May 20th.
But he hasn't held elections. Somebody said, Destiny, these people need to stop resigning and force a firing after speaking out publicly from their position. This increases their unemployment compensation opportunities anyway and also creates more awareness. No, somebody said this, and I think I agree with it. The reason why you resign from your position is because if you don't, you could just be shuffled around in a way that is far less dramatic and doesn't have as much of the spotlight. So, for instance, rather than like the head of a department resigning or the head of like a senior position in a department resigning, you could get like demoted and somebody could also be brought in, and then you could be like moved to kind of like more paper pushing, and then like 2 years later you could be fired, and it's like nobody cares at that point. There's not as much of a statement. I understand for the resignation. The resignation allows you to resign now in protest of a particular action and with the position that you're in to show the importance of your resignation, rather than this guy's resigning who was the prosecutor head or the head of this department or whatever like 2 years ago. It's probably more impactful to do your resignations this way, I think. Yeah.
He canceled elections in the name of martial law, suspending Ukraine's constitution so that he could stay in power. Defenders of Zelensky will say, hey, Ukraine is in the middle of a war. They can't have elections. Just stop for a moment and think, if we accept that excuse or criteria for suspending the Constitution and canceling elections, defenders of Zelensky will say, hey, Ukraine is in the middle of a war. They can't have elections. Just stop for a moment and think, if we accept that excuse or criteria for suspending the Constitution and canceling elections, then we should presume that leaders in our own country and our own establishment media will also use this same excuse and rationale when they suspend our Constitution and our elections, since we too are at war with Russia and China. If you think this sounds crazy, look at what's already going on. They've already started conditioning us to accept a dictatorship by rationalizing their own use.
Their own use. Is it going to be COVID lockdowns and weaponizing the DOJ against Trump, maybe? I'm trying to think of what she's going to go with.
Of our Department of Justice to target President Trump
There's that.
and other political enemies.